Hello and welcome to another Improve Your Chess video. Today, how to win with better defense. The best defense is a good offense, which is true many times, but sometimes you're just stuck where you have to defend. And if you don't defend correctly, you could just go down material and be losing. In this series, I've been playing a good friend of mine, John, and he's still improving. He played at an 84.3% accuracy in this game. It looks like I played pretty good, 95% in this game. I had one great move, but the bad moves, it looks like I had two inaccuracies. John only had one. I had zero mistakes, but he had two. I had one missed opportunity, and he had one blunder. So let's take a look at this and see, how can we win more chess games with better defense. This game, it began, I had the white pieces, and I played d4. John responded with d5. Then we had knight to c3 attacking. Of course, he's forced to defend. Here, he picked c6. Not a bad move. It's a book move. It's kind of like a Caro-Kann setup, I guess. And the game continued with bishop to f4. So this Jabava-London setup, which can play out in different ways, but usually you have a pawn on d4, knight on c3, and bishop on f4. So the game continues with knight to f6, the best move. And now we have e6 supporting the d4 pawn, allowing my bishop to develop. And the game continues with the other knight developing. Bishop centralizes here. And now we have e6, allowing the dark bishop to develop here. And I just continue developing pieces. So I have 4 pieces developed, and John only has 2 at the moment, and a third one develops and pins the knight. So here I've been trying to focus a little bit more on getting my pieces developed a little bit quicker. So I ignore this and castle. Now my rook is ready to develop to the center at some point, maybe after this pin has been taken care of here. So h6 is played here. It's still a good move, but better would have been to castle right away. Perhaps John was feeling threatened by both bishops lined up on the king side, the knight and queen maybe ready to jump over there. So he plays this defensive move, or perhaps he wanted to play g5 at some point and chase my pieces. So it looks like h3 that I played here. Usually, you want to develop pieces, but here I push this pawn, allowing an escape hatch for my bishop, and the game continues with queen to e7, the best move, creating a queen-bishop battery, and a retreat here, also best, because now the knight could reposition maybe to g3 to help control this e4 square. c3 could be played to chase the bishop away. So before I have a chance to chase that bishop, John retreats and attacks my bishop. But I'm not worried. It's protected by the knight and this pawn. So I play c3, the first inaccuracy of the game. It looks like white is still ahead after this. It supports the central pawn. Maybe leaves a little route for my queen to go to the queen side at some point. But it looks like knight to e5 would have been better, jumping the knight on this outpost and forcing white to deal with that. So it also allows e5, the best move in the position, with the threat of e4 forking here. So I'm pretty much forced to capture, with bishop, knight, or pawn. And generally, it's best to capture with the least valuable piece first, which is what I do. And the computer likes that, although now it's saying knight takes e5 is a little bit better. So here we have the bishop capture. Why is this a mistake? Well, now John is under attack and has to play defense, but he's good at the moment. The bad side of this move is that it gives up the bishop pair, and I've mentioned this before. In general, you want to keep your bishop pair unless you have a good reason to give it up. So I capture with the knight, and now it looks like a better move would have been to ignore that and just play g3. So further development, and there's that saying, to take is a mistake. And I've been hearing that saying more often lately in other videos. And I'm going to have to work on that because it appears to be true most of the time. To take is a mistake. Instead of capturing and releasing the pressure here in the center, it looks like it would have been better for me to just reposition this knight up to g3 to a little bit better spot and help cover the e4 square. So now we have capture. I at least get rid of the bishop pair, and a recapture. So at the moment, material is even, but I do have the bishop pair. This knight is under attack, but it's protected by the queen. So my bishop was under attack, and like I said, I wanted to keep the bishop pair, so I just retreat back, and it looks like that's the best move. The game continues with g6, a weakening pawn move, especially now that the dark squared bishop is gone. It looks like it would have been better to just castle immediately here. So, how can we take advantage of this mistake? Well, I decide to centralize my queen and add another attacker to this knight, but even better, would have been e4 to open up the center while the king and queen are here in the center and they're lined up. If the center opens up and a rook comes out, that could be a threat on the king and queen. But I add an attacker. So now, how can you win more with better defense? Well, my opponent wanted to counterattack here, thinking that, oh, well, if he takes the knight, I'll take the bishop. But sometimes you have to calculate a little bit deeper if you're going to do that. Whenever there is a confrontation between two pieces, you really have to look at how I should defend this. Do I need to defend? Do I have a counterattack, and can I defend through a counterattack? Here it just doesn't work. The best move is bishop takes e5, because then that would pin this knight to the rook over here. And the only thing protecting is the queen. So, then that's another horrible situation. But I decide to capture, and the computer says this is a great move because I wreck the pawns over here, if he recaptures. Now, what is best? It looks like knight to c4, counterattacking a pawn. But my opponent makes a mistake here. Well, not really a mistake, but he just retreats back. And, it's just not the best move. The computer says it's a good move. But now it's just going to go further downhill from here, because it allows bishop takes d7, the best move, capturing with check. And unfortunately, now this knight is no longer protected. The king is in check, so we have a capture here. The knight is captured, and now I'm just up two pieces here, a bishop and a knight. So I'll play out the rest of this game, but you just really have to play defense when, it's nice to attack, but sometimes you really have to look at defensive measures. So if we go back a few more moves here and just really look at this, I'm attacking the knight, but it's protected by the queen. I add another attacker. Now, what are the options? The best move is knight to c4 to counterattack this pawn, and then I should ignore that and start attacking in the center. But here at least knight to c4 would get rid of this attack of bishop and queen piling up. And the second best move would be to drop back and get out of the attacked e5 square. And third best would be knight at f to d7 to add more protection to this. So there's two defenders. And when you have to play defense, you can count attackers and defenders. If there are two attackers, generally you have to do something about that. If there's only one defender, you have to add another defender or get that piece out of the line of fire. So a counterattack just does not work here. After capture, knight tries to defend now, but it's too late because now the bishop can capture with check. And we're just ahead material, and the game continues with moving the attacked rook out of the line of fire. I just drop back because now I'm under attack by two pieces, so I have to play defense. And in this case, instead of defending, I just retreat temporarily, and this pawn pushes forward. Perhaps just trying to gain a little bit of space, prevent the queen from being able to come up in here, although the queen is better centralized. So the game continues with the rook going to the half open file, creating a rook queen battery, and now we have queen centralizing. So this move, the computer says it's excellent, but it's kind of a bad idea because now this pawn is unprotected. So another defensive error. I could even just trade off material here. But even better is to capture even more material. So to go further ahead. And now, let's see here. We have rook to e6 attacking. So here, a counterattack works. I'm able to retreat, well, not really retreat, get the piece that was under fire out of the line of fire and counterattack. So in that instance, counterattacking does work well. So John just blocks with the rook, the best move. That allows me to capture even another pawn here, though. Now we have a tripling on the half-open E file here. And the game continues with queen to f4. So now I'm willing to trade off queens and start getting rid of material. And here, when you're behind in material, you do not want to keep trading down even more material. But it was not looking good. If that queen tried to move, then I have a bishop queen battery able to come up in here and attack the king. And it would not be looking good after that. So we have bishop recaptures, and now John is kind of running out of moves to make. This move here, the pawn is pinned by the rook to the king, so we target the pinned piece. That is ignored in favor of a counterattack, but once again, the counterattack doesn't work here because we just pick this off. We're attacking, so another counterattack. The pawn just presses forward. We have a passed pawn defending the bishop. And a mistake here, although the computer says this is excellent. But whenever you see two pieces lined up on a diagonal, especially if you have the bishop here, well, now we can move to h6 and target both of these. So the best move, we attack along the diagonal. Now, what should be done here? One rook should defend the other rook because no matter what, we're capturing a rook. But another mistake here. Now we can just go ahead and pick off a rook. So it would have been better to play defense, defending here, because now I get a rook and he only gets a pawn instead of rook for bishop would have been a little bit better. And the game continues with capture in the center, a counterattack here. But once again, counterattack doesn't work because there's an in-between move of capturing a pawn with a check. And now the bishop has time to move. But why not throw in another check with the rook and drive the king to the edge of the board? So the king moves down here. Now we check. King to the edge even further. Rook finally retreats and grabs some of these squares around the king. So slowly squeezing the king and surrounding the king. The rook tries to help defend, but we jump up here, threatening another attack on the rook. So we just move forward. Rook closes in even further. Now the best move here. I don't know. It's just not looking good. So the knight jumps into the action, and the game won't go much further after this. So I sacrifice the rook. After capture, we have a mate here. All right. Well, just remember, you can have more success in your games if you just take a good look at your defense. Offense, attacking is great, but sometimes you're going to be forced to defend. And whenever there's a confrontation between pieces, unless it's a blitz game and you don't have much time, try to take a good look at it, and see what is best. Do you need to defend by throwing in another defender to whatever's being attacked, or do you need to get out of the line of fire? Anyway, feel free to leave comments as always. Like and subscribe to support the channel. Thank you for watching and have a super chess day.